Colombia's path to peace has been shaped by the efforts of two crucial international missions: the United Nations Verification Mission in Colombia, UNVMC, and the mission to support the peace process of the Organization of American States, MAPP-OAS. Both missions began with a strong focus on security, ceasefires, and disarmament, particularly regarding the FARC-EP and paramilitary groups. The UNVMC was actually initially the United Nations mission in Colombia, created by UN Security Council Resolution 2261 of 2016, to oversee the disarmament and demobilization process in the year following the signing of the final peace agreement. When disarmament was successfully completed in July 2017, the mission transitioned into the UNVMC under UN Security Council Resolution 2366 of 2017 with a new mandate to verify the reintegration of former combatants, ensure security guarantees, and facilitate their transition into political life. Importantly, and pursuant to the obligations acquired under Section 6.3.3 of the final peace agreement, the UNVMC's work has been guided by specifically Sections 3.2 and 3.4 of the same instrument, which addresses economic and social reintegration, as well as security provisions for former FARC members and affected communities, and the deployment of unarmed human rights experienced personnel. The UNVMC's role has expanded over time with key milestones, including UN Security Council Resolution 2574 of 2021, which granted oversight of restorative justice sentences pursuant to Section 5.1.2 of the Final Peace Agreement, and Resolution 2673 of 2023, which extended the mandate to cover land reform, ethnic perspectives, and female inclusion, in accordance with Sections 1 and 6.2 of the same agreement. On the other hand, MAPP-OAS, established in 2004, was created through an agreement between the Colombian government and the Organization of American States. Its initial role, outlined in Articles 1.3 and 2.2 of its founding agreement, was to monitor ceasefires, oversee disarmament, and aid in reintegration efforts. However, its mandate has been gradually expanded through 9 additional protocols, allowing it to play a broader role in justice, reconciliation, and victim support. For instance, the second additional protocol of 2007 extended its responsibilities to monitor transitional justice and prevent forced recruitment, especially of minors, and support state-led peace initiatives. Later protocols reinforce its involvement in truth, justice, reparation, and reconciliation, making it an integral part of Colombia's evolving peace framework. Similar to the UNVMC's mandate expansion under the already mentioned UN Security Council Resolution 2574. For instance, while both missions share common goals, their approaches differ. The UNVMC follows a very structured UN-mandated framework, strictly implementing specific sections of the final peace agreement. In contrast, MAPP-OAS operates with greater flexibility, adapting to changing political and social realities while providing analysis, recommendations, and support for various peace efforts.
As for their main activities, the United Nations Verification Mission in Colombia, UNVMC, and the mission to support the peace process in Colombia, MAPP-OAS, both play key roles in the country's peace-building efforts. On one hand, the UNVMC works closely with bodies like the Commission for Follow-up, Promotion and Verification (CSIVI), the National Reincorporation Council (CNR), and the National Commission for Security Guarantees (CNSG) to monitor the implementation of the final peace agreement between the Colombian government and FARC-EP. On one hand, CSIVI oversees and verifies the peace agreement implementation and fosters dialogue and accountability. Secondly, the CNR supports and monitors the former FARC-EP members' reincorporation into society. And finally, the CNSG ensures security, dismantles armed groups, and protects former combatants. The UNVMC primary focus is on the implementation of Sections 1, 3.2, 3.4, 5.1.2, and 6.2 of the final peace agreement, all of these related to verifying commitments, ensuring security, and supporting the reintegration of former combatants into society. As mentioned in the letter dated 24 February 2021 from Secretary General to the President of the Security Council, the UNVMC eventually reinforced their gender-focused approach as established in the final agreement, all this highlighting the linkage between this and the ethnic chapter. On the other hand, based on Article 2 of the 9th Additional Protocol, currently MAPP-OAS provides flexible support to Colombia's state peace policy with the legal actors, incorporating a differential approach to gender, ethnicity, and age, all of this in all of their areas of work. It does these activities by monitoring conflicts, addressing human rights concerns like forced recruitment, and also supports the reintegration and disarmament of efforts. And it should be mentioned that this mission also engages in direct collaboration with the Colombian government and also numerous members of the international community like member states and member observers. Another important element to mention is that both missions are characterized by implementing gender, ethnicity, and age approaches in their activities. For this instance, it's worthy to mention that even though the approaches are more or less similar, their application is still not the same. First, let's talk about gender. On one hand, the UNVMC engages actively with women civil society organizations and also the FARC-EP Gender Commission. Meanwhile, the MAPP-OAS focuses on monitoring gender-based violence and promoting political participation. Clearly, these efforts highlight the importance of addressing gender issues to ensure comprehensive, integral, and also support and protection. On the other hand, when it comes to ethnicity, the UNVMC is involved in overseeing land rights and promoting rural development for ethnic groups. And in the contrary, the MAPP-OAS takes a stand for the rights of campesinos and also advocates for the land and rights of ethnic communities. So, as seen, it is clear that both missions recognize that addressing ethnic issues is essential for building lasting peace in Colombia. And lastly, when it comes to the age approach, this is equally significant. On one hand, the UNVMC is committed to preventing the forced recruitment of minors by illegal armed groups and also supports their reintegration into society. And at the same time, MAPP-OAS focuses on strengthening policies and legal framework related to child protection. So as we have seen, this approach ensures that younger generations are protected and supporting during this peace building process. And also, needless to say, is that these common efforts are not only to demonstrate the alignment between these two missions, but they also reflect the evolution of the peace building process in Colombia, and this is done well by addressing gender, ethnicity, and age through targeted initiatives. We are moving closer to a more inclusive and peaceful future for all Colombians.
Both the UNVMC and the MAPP-OAS have recognized that persistent violence and insecurity remain significant obstacles to achieving lasting peace. In his most recent report to the United Nations Security Council, dated 26 December 2024, the Secretary General highlighted that fiscal and budgetary constraints for 2025 pose a major challenge to the implementation of the final peace agreement. Additionally, the security situation in regions such as Quito in Choco Department and Santander de Quilichao in Cauca Department, along with forced displacement in Arauca, Cauca, Guaviare, and Meta departments, reflects the ongoing presence of illegal armed groups and criminal organizations. Dissident factions of the FARC, paramilitary groups, and drug cartels continue to operate, creating insecurity for rural communities and landowners. This highlights the urgent need for stronger security measures, as outlined in Section 3.4 in relation to Section 6.3.3, both of the final peace agreement, and monitored by the UNVMC. The MAPP OAS, in its 35th report, raised similar concerns. Despite progress, illegal armed groups, IAGs, have expanded their control, causing forced displacement, assassinations, kidnappings, extortion, and social control over local populations. They have also violated ceasefires, deployed anti-personnel mines, and forcibly recruited minors, particularly affecting ethnic communities. Meanwhile, urban peace efforts face legal uncertainties, and overcrowded prisons contribute to further instability. Environmental degradation, illicit drug cultivation, and delays in land restitution are additional factors complicating the peace process. The presence of multiple armed groups has led to human rights violations, internal fragmentation, and territorial disputes, further escalating violence. Challenges such as slow implementation of agreements, ongoing ceasefire violations, and procedural obstacles are impeding the transitional justice process, while efforts to locate missing persons remains slow. Moreover, the security of former FARC-EP combatants and their families remains a growing concern. According to the United Nations Secretary General, in his report dated 27 June 2024, former combatants face threats, extortion, and pressure from armed groups, with 421 having been killed since the signing of the final peace agreement in 2016, including 11 women, 59 indigenous people, and 57 Afro-Colombians. Moreover, 142 have survived murder attempts and 40 people have been reported as missing. The lack of a comprehensive protection program has left reintegration efforts vulnerable, and the UNVMC has struggled to verify and report on productive projects in remote, high-risk areas due to struggles with accessibility to them. In its latest quarterly report, dated December 2024, the Kroc Institute, a key organization overseeing the agreement's implementation, confirmed that the security crisis is a direct threat to both UNVMC and MAPP OAS. Between January and June 2024, 15 peace accord signatories were assassinated alone, and an attack was carried out on Major Armando Gurilla Balbuena, a leader of the Ethnic People Forum and the Truth Commission Follow-up Committee.
In relation to their achievements, the UNVMC, as stated in the latest report from the UNSC to the President of the UN Security Council, for the first time since the signing of the final peace agreement, the Colombian government and FARC-EP reached an agreement to update the framework plan for implementation of the final agreement indicators and their timelines. This reflects the current realities and challenges in the peace-building processes. And although this is not an UNVMC achievement per se, it reflects the commitment to obtain measurable impacts and their political willingness to adapt the peace process to evolving contexts. And on the other hand, in relation to MAPP OAS, according to the 35th report, and by promoting the total peace policy, the mission achieved negotiations and ceasefires with illegal armed groups, and also relevant, there was a 58% reduction in mass forced displacements and a 3% drop in homicides. And equally important, the final peace agreement was incorporated into the National Development Plan, and also the Special Jurisdiction for Peace advanced in Macro Case 2, which is about the territorial situation in Nariño, and Macro Case 5, which is about the territorial situation in Northern Cauca and Southern Valle del Cauca. And also they launched Macro Case 11, which is about gender-based violence, sexual violence, and crimes committed due to prejudice. As for the closing remarks, we have to mention that both missions focus initially on security, disarmament, and reintegration, and also their mandates have been since broadened to encompass transitional justice, rural reform, and inclusive approaches considering gender, ethnicity, and age. And on one hand, the UNVMC operates with a targeted approach concentrating on specific sections of the final peace agreement. And also this mission collaborates with various agencies named CSIVI, CNR, and CNSG, which all are agreed upon the government and FARC-EP. Also, notably, their territorial reintegration programs supply immediate assistance to former combatants and other vulnerable communities. And on the other hand, MAPP supports Colombia's peace policy regarding illegal armed groups through a flexible and inclusive approach. All this through conflict monitoring, ceasefire implementation, disarmament, reintegration, and also transitional justice. Their approach to the final peace agreement is more in a general way by stating that it will bring support to its implementation, and on the other hand, their territorial reintegration programs strengthens national frameworks in this regard, which is a main difference between both missions.